is Genta Saputra. My nickname is Genta. I'm from class 2D D3 Electrical Engineering Polytechnic Negeri Padang. This question, I will explain an electrical tool called a multimeter. The multimeter that I have here is produced by a company called Aussie. This multimeter comes into cable and red and black. The red cable is used to measure the unsure plane, and the red is to be measured with the multimeter. Always, the black cable is pushed for measure on the natural edge of the device to be misread using the multimeter. This multimeter can perform measure red and as voltmeter, ammeter, ohmmeter. You switch the dial to the desired measurements. With multimeter are very useful for measuring parameter is testing and performance. Come on, let's listen to Fortan explain John.
Firstly, we will discuss user interface of multimeter. This is multimeter scale. This is multimeter needle or pointer. This is calibrating knob. This is 0 ohm adjuster. This is selection area. This is connecting ports. This is positive probe. This is negative probe. How to measure DC current with analog multimeter. Take an analog multimeter. Connect black probe with common port. Connect red probe with positive port. Blinking line show the DC current section. Arrow shows the measuring range of DC current. Take a LED and use it as a load. Longer terminal is positive and shorter terminal is negative. Take a phone battery and use it as a power source. Select 250 mA range. Now, it's time to calibrate the multimeter. If you see the needle, it is not at 0. In order to move needle at 0, rotate 0 ohm knob clockwise anti-clockwise with the help of screwdriver. Now our multimeter is calibrated and ready to take reading. Connect black probe of multimeter to negative terminal of battery and red probe of multimeter to longer terminal of LED load. Now, take a piece of wire and use it to connect shorter terminal of LED load to positive terminal of power source. Circuit is completed and current is flowing from negative terminal to positive terminal of battery through the LED lamp. That flowing current, we are measuring. Here is a question. There are many scales on display, which scale we need to see. We know that have selected 250 mA range. So, we will see that scale. If we see to needle, it is at about 25. It's mean our load is taking 25 mA current. Always connect multimeter in series of circuit to measure current. This is how we can measure DC current. How to check DC voltage. We have a multimeter to measure DC voltage. Connect black probe of multimeter with common port and red probe of multimeter with positive port. Blinking line shows DC voltage section. Arrow shows DC volt range which we can measure. I am taking phone battery to measure DC voltage. That terminal is positive and that terminal is negative. If we see here, it's a 3.5 volts battery, so we need to select 10 volts range. If we don't know voltage of battery, we should select maximum voltage range of multimeter firstly, then decrease in need. If we see the needle, it is not at 0. So, it needs to calibrate before taking any reading. In order to calibrate it, rotate 0 ohmic knob clockwise anti-clockwise with the help of screwdriver. Now it is calibrated and ready to take reading. Connect positive terminal of battery to the red wire and negative terminal of battery to black wire. We will read 10 volts scale. If we select 50 volts range, then we will read 50 volts scale, and if we select 250 volts range, then we will read 250 scale. But for now, we will read 10 volts scale. If we seat a needle, it shows about 3.5 volts. This is how we can measure DC voltage. How we can measure AC voltage with the help of analog multimeter. We have a multimeter. To measure AC voltage, connect black probe with common port, and red probe with positive port. Blinking line show AC voltage section, and arrow show range of voltage which we can measure. Select 250 volts range. Now, it's time to calibrate the multimeter. If you see the multimeter needle, it is not at 0. In order to move it at 0, rotate 0 ohmic knob clockwise anti-clockwise with the help of a screwdriver. Now our multimeter is calibrated and ready to take reading. Take a AC power source in order to measure AC voltage. Put probes into the extension lead connection. We need to read 250 scale because we have selected 250 volts, measuring range. Multimeter is showing about 225 volts. This is how we can measure AC voltage. How to measure resistance with the help of analog multimeter. Take a multimeter. Connect red probe with ohmic port. Connect black probe with common port. Blinking line shows the ohmic section. Arrow shows measuring range of resistance. Select X10 range. It's time to calibrate the multimeter. Short both probes. If you notice, multimeter needle is not at 0 ohm. Rotate ohmic knob, clockwise or anti-clockwise in order to adjust needle, at 0 scale. Disconnect the probes. Now our multimeter is calibrated and ready to take reading. Take a resistor which value we need to measure. Connect probes to resistor. If you found no movement or little deflection in needle, it means our selected range is less and resistor has greater value. Disconnect the resistor. Now, I am selecting X100 range. Short both probes again, in order to calibrate it. Rotate ohmic knob, clockwise or anti-clockwise in order to adjust needle, at 0 scale. Disconnect the probes. Reconnect the resistor again. If you see the arrow, it is pointing out ohm symbol. So, we need to read that scale. Needle is at 5. Note down 5 separately and see which range we have selected. We have selected X100 multiplier. Take this 100 and multiply it with 5.
Second topic, combination planes and counting planes. Combination planes function to grip to hold object and the rifle for human hand to grip and count. Also charge objects to our wrist and cable. Who's to charge cable and or electrical item to iron wheel, copper and the like. Topic is solder. Solder function to melt tin and tin, silver and add silver for iron, copper and silver material. The next topics, the plus the screwdriver and the minus driver. The tool function, the next and loss and screw on electrical component. The next topic and the rule is function and the rule Screws are for which of the room do things screw. The next topic is the hard drill. Is the function, the real function, and also if true, script for competence. Come on, let's go the for extension.
In today's video, we'll talk about cordless drill basics, which will include covering their main parts, features, and drilling techniques. The main parts of the cordless drill are the battery pack, the outer housing, trigger, reverse switch, motor, and chuck, which includes the jaws. The most common sizes of cordless drills are 3/8 and 1/2 inch. These dimensions are referring to how wide the jaws open up to accept a bit. Almost all cordless drills have what is known as a keyless chuck, meaning that you don't need one of these to tighten the chuck. You can simply do it by hand. In most cases, a 3/8 drill is perfect for the beginner, but if you can afford it, I would buy a higher quality drill that includes a lithium-ion battery. Most drills come with two main features, the gear selector switch and torque control. The gear selector switch allows you to have control over how fast the drill spins. Number 1 sets the drill at the lowest speed, and number 2 at the highest speed. Why is that important? Well, it gives you more control over specific tasks. For instance, if you're drilling holes, more times than not, having a higher bit speed is ideal. But on the other hand, if you're installing screws that are small and require a little bit more caution, having a lower bit speed would be more ideal. To give you even more control, you can adjust the torque, which affects the overall amount of force that the drill exerts on the screw or the bit. For example, when drilling holes, set the torque control to the drill setting. This gives you as much torque as the drill can provide without slipping the clutch. But if you were to use that same setting for screws, the drill could drive the screws too deep, especially if you weren't paying attention and controlling the trigger properly. This time, if you adjust the torque to a lower setting like an 8, the drill will only provide that level of torque before slipping the clutch and stopping the screw from sinking any further. You can see how this would be helpful for setting screws at a specific depth in different types of materials. There are countless drill and bit accessory options out there, which we'll get into in another video, but let's finish this video out by talking about a few techniques. First up is the techniques used to install and remove bits. For this particular drill, you can simply insert the bit, then rotate the chuck clockwise to tighten the jaws around the bit. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, as long as the drill is facing you. The other option is to insert the bit. Now this time, hold the chuck with one hand while at the same time pulling the trigger. Just make sure that the drill's direction is in the forward position. Then when you want to remove the bit, you simply reverse the direction of the drill and out the bit comes. Moving on to techniques for drilling holes, the first thing you want to do is always work with sharp bits. Dull bits will drive you crazy and ultimately make your projects turn out poorly. Number 2 is apply enough pressure to keep the bit cutting, but never too much where you risk breaking the bit, and never too little because you can dull the bit. Third, do your best to stay at a right angle to the work so that your hole is straight. And in some cases, when drilling deep holes, take the time to withdraw the bit to clear out the shavings. Lastly, when you're looking for a clean exit, clamp a scrap piece of material under your work. This will dramatically reduce the amount of splintering as the bit exits the work. To learn even more techniques like pre-drilling or countersinking, follow the links below in the notes section. And if you're not already a Training Hands subscriber, please consider doing it right now. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
The next topic is the 3-pro socket. The survey to insert the number of drift to an original only be counted to a single electrical appliance with the OSTFREE 3-pro socket. We can plug is move the on depending on how many counter the socket has. The socket is aquatic with a switch. The function of the switch is to counter is secure the two-way socket. Thank you for attention. Bye.